Good evening, everybody. This is Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the founder of the Circle of Grace One, established in 1974 in the month of July, and later went fully seated into the earth on July 2nd, 1999. So I'm here live and been going through a lot today, uh, but all for the better. I'm beginning to look at things as not so much as a lesson to be learned, but as something new to acquire. Well, we're going to talk about a lot of things this evening. There will be opportunities for people to get dreams analyzed, answer your questions about meditation and lucid dreaming, answer questions related to dream symbols that may come up. Also, I'm here to talk about my book, The Key to Life is Numerology. I'm also going to mention a book from one of my favorite colleagues out here in New Mexico. She has come out with her new book, and it's a very easy read, but it's not meant to be just a book to read. It's actually a book to study. And in this book, she clears your mind of all of the clutter of information that you may have heard. And she's giving you her take on it, on this specific topic matter that is greatly needed right now with everything that you're going through. She talks about um, creation aspects, or I should read the three sections that she talks about in here. And she talks about universal awareness. She talks about global awakening and the things you need to pay attention in each section. She talks about self activation, and she even mentions biblical references of spirit gifts in her book. This is a brand new, exciting book, and I think many people ought to consider getting that book by going on Amazon um, ASAP. But you can get her book as a paperback book or Kindle. Um, I don't know why I stopped putting things in Kindle. Well, I think sometimes it's just kind of hard uploading it so it looks nice. But she was able to get it so it looks nice in Kindle, in a Kindle format, as well as a paperback book. I'm going to also talk from maybe some of my other books as you all begin to come online. I'm also looking at to teach from my very first book, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace, which kind of gives you a capsulated um, look of how I entered into this field of metaphysics and spirituality from the very start. And so, if you're on Facebook right now, if you're, especially if you're on a computer, you could split the screen. You could still do your work on Facebook and connect with family and friends, and you could have a window open for this as well. Anytime you see me come on, if you like what I have to say, give me a thumbs up. Give me an honest opinion. If you don't like it, I'm not going to get mad at you if you give me a thumbs down. Okay, I'd rather have honest viewpoints than people just, as we say, blowing smoke, try to make me feel good. I'd rather have, when you get some thumbs down, it just makes you work and study a little harder to bring out information to people. So I like to do that. I don't mind getting a lot of questions as well. So when you tune in tonight, I am talking about my upcoming online video course. It's going to be live. You'll be able to interact with me. It's going to be run almost like a college semester because it's going to run 4 months, starting from Wednesday night, February the 1st, 2023. And the last class within the course will be on Wednesday, May 31st of 2023. And it's based on my book right here. The Key to Life is Numerology. That's the name of the course. And I'm going to teach some highlights from this book. I will cover most of the chapters in this book, and I will help you get a firmer understanding of numerology and how to apply it to your own life. And maybe, when we say it that way, how to see the number values, not only in your life and in your name, but in your immediate family members. So you will be able to do that through this 4-month course. You will be, if you contact me by going to my email, and first thing I should do is leave a greeting here, right? If you go to my email, I'll send you the necessary information. That email is iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. And this will give you all the information. I'll even talk about the early bird price that it will be open. The gate and registration enrollment for that is from January the 2nd to January the 18th. That's for early bird price. And then if you miss that gate now, starting January the 19th, all the way to February the 19th, you get 4 weeks to pay the standard fee for that course. Okay. So, and the way you could pay that standard fee is in installments, but you'll make sure you get out that first fourth of the payment, because it should be about 4 payments. And then we could get you in, because the class is going to start. The course will start at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday evening, February the 1st of 2023. So I want to make sure, you get that. And I like to make sure you do well. So if you have to email me, you could always email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. So this is one of the things you want to be able to do. I'm always checking my email. I like to respond within 24 to 48 hours, or even far less than that, because I don't like people to be hanging too long waiting for me to get back to them. All right. Now I've been doing this. I've been doing this joy of numerology since 1974. That's the long time. And people say, well, all the people I hear out there is just doing basics. Well, that's true. But basics is what we all need. And also, the basics can help us get farther. It's sort of like if you're learning an exercise. Okay, if you're learning an exercise, you don't start at the top, you have to start at the ground floor. And it's important to exercise the basic information, because that's how you begin to remember how to utilize that same information so you can go to the top in your own life. So, numerology has been looked at as a part of the metaphysical field of wisdom and understanding. It's You could be a numerologist and a philosopher at the same time. You could be an astrologer and a philosopher through astrology at the same time. Same thing with people who are into the study of tarot or palmistry. All of these are romantic arts, but they're also metaphysical in nature, because it helps open your mind up. And it's just like the study of chakras. When you go into the study of chakras, and that's great about my colleague's new book, because she covers that. One of her chapters takes you into the chakras and how they spin, which is cool. And she gives you the exact location of where that chakra is in the body. So it's an awesome book, and you want to really get into that. Okay. So it's just like that. One of these things is that we are getting in the field of, I want to say, awesomeness. awesome sauce. That's what we're learning to do. Getting in the field of awesome sauce. And we all get a chance to vibrate on that level. And it's a great thing for us to be able to do when we can exercise everything that we have learned. We allow ourselves to step into a greater light than ever before. I mean, a pure, strong light where we allow ourselves to explore our own divinity. And this is like a fabulous thing to do because once you begin to explore your divinity, you find yourself moving into deeper waters, deeper levels, deeper layers. And excuse me while I'm got to send somebody a text. They don't know I'm here or they're trying to get here. But one of the things is when you are moving your life in a specific direction, you are striving to open yourself up to higher awarenesses, deeper remembrances. You are also striving to take yourself to a higher height in your consciousness. And higher consciousness is always evolving. The more you study yourself in relationship to the universe at large, you're going to find yourself having remembrances. And as you have these remembrances, and these remembrances are other lifetimes where energy is streaming. The energy we always were taught, and I think this is just from school. When we were in grade school, high school, and college, we all were taught a linear timeline. And so when we were looking at linear timelines, we were looking at what was going on at different times, different ages and eras across the globe. But sometimes you couldn't keep up with that. You're going like, okay, this was going on over here and this was happening here. But at some point, you figured in your mind, well, it's got to come to an end. It's not going to continue. These timelines must end at some point. But in the field of metaphysics and spirituality, it's cyclical, it's circular. It only looks like we're doing a parallelization of everything, parallel universe, right? When we think of a parallel universe, we're still thinking of straight lines, but it's actually revolving. And everything is revolving in and out of something else. I once learned taking a course with this guy. He's called the American Monk. His name is Jonathan Goldman. And he would teach a course which might be still available on the market. And I started studying this course about 2005, 2006. It was called Quantum Jumping. That's right, quantum jumping. And what he was talking about is that there's another aspect of yourself in the greater universe, galactically speaking. And you could actually meditate and connect with that part of yourself that's doing something that you're trying to figure out how to do now. So, one of the things he did was he connected with that part of himself that dealt with longevity. He dealt with another part of himself somewhere else that was a master artist, painter. He was able to make these connections and find that aspect of himself. Now, here's the interesting factor: he was not connected to any military training. This was something that he studied on his own. And he was able to make that leap in his consciousness, which tells us we all can do it. This guy is like probably in his late 80s, early 90s. And when you look at him, he still looks a little younger than his age, which says he's been, involved in other practices like, Tai Chi, martial arts, some form of martial arts, especially Qigong exercises, especially yoga exercises. And there's, many schools of yoga, just not the Hatha yoga. There's also Kriya yoga. There's bhakti yoga, which is more like a devotional yoga. There's tons of yogas, okay? But the word yoga means to yoke up. It means to connect yourself to the divine source. And then when you do that, when you open yourself to that, you can experience a self realization, which is what Paramhansa Yogananda of India did. In fact, he did so well in his studies of yoga during his time that he looked very youthful. His eyes were always glistening. Paramhansa Yogananda started the Self Realization Fellowship. And what that meant was at some point in your deeper studies of things and applications, you come to the realization of yourself as being a unified part of the greater I am presence. In other words, that phrase, that biblical phrase that says, I am that I am. The word that is a bridge where we make this embrace and connection with ourselves in the physical world, embracing ourselves in the spiritual world. And as we do that, we allow ourselves to be blessed in a whole nother way. It's interesting how my phone is coming up with information that it's not supposed to be doing. So let's see. Just give me a second. There's something that these phones are now doing that I am totally unaware of. One of the things is it's actually recording my show like a text. Okay. So we have to, here we go. Now, that's something new. I never knew that the iPhone was going to do that. That's something Microsoft and iPhone phones are doing now. I can give a link out to my show, and I think what's happening is my mic was on my phone, and as I was recording this show live, it was texting it at the same time. Woo, that's a lot of information. But as I was saying, Paramhansa Yogananda, he was able to capture the essence of his remembrance and began to realize that he was the presence of the divine mind on earth, the divine heart and mind, as we call God, God's source on earth. It was being expressed through him. Now, he's not the only one. There are many people all over the world who have applied themselves long enough and with humility and grace to allow that to happen in their life. Everyone evolves at a different rate of speed. We all don't hit it at the same time. We all do allow ourselves to come to a point of analysis and being able to go deep within ourselves and begin to remember. We begin to open ourselves up and we begin to experience the level of divinity we need to experience. This has been a great journey for many of us to be able to have such an experience right now with all this other stuff that's going on in the world. There's political stuff going on. There's wars happening. There's, demonstrations of different kinds that we've been seeing on the news. And if it wasn't for news or the web, we wouldn't be able to see anything. We wouldn't know that this other stuff is going on other than just reading it in a newspaper or hearing a radio show or just seeing some basic news channel. But now we are evolving even faster where we are sensing different timelines. We are can see ourselves in a whole new light doing something new. Let me drink a little water. Now, one of the things that is greatly essential to all of us is the ability to practice meditation on a daily basis. If we can practice meditation on a daily basis, we allow ourselves to step into new worlds. We allow ourselves to step into new worlds. And this is essential for us because when we step into a new world, we are allowing ourselves to experience expansion, infinity, visions, and having the ability to comprehend the vision, not just, okay, I had the vision, but I don't understand what it is. We are that open deeply within our own subconscious regions of our mind where we can begin to literally tap in, not figuratively speaking, but literally tap in to this divine source more than just the collective humanity, but beyond. Because all of us who are a part of this collective humanity, we do have what is called a higher level of understanding, a higher strata that's more infinite than we realize. We can begin to imagine it. We call it our higher self. Others say, okay, well, you got a shadow self. So we're dealing in the concept of duality. However, that which we call the shadow self eventually does what? It gets cleared. And as we begin to clear it, it's like this, it's laying on its back, looking up, or laying on its face. And as it begins to get clear, it begins to roll and turn. And as it rolls and turns, it begins to receive more light. And sooner or later, it is where the light is totally upon it. And as it awakens to a whole new level of being, it gets absorbed back into the infinite light. And this is a great thing within itself because we are all seeking this infinite light. It is greatly essential to our well being to have this light, to know this light, to understand this light. one of the things also is that we are learning to allow ourselves to receive something even bigger. Let's see if I can get myself on. Okay. We're allowing ourselves to come to a fuller understanding of who we are. You know, we are greater than what we realize. We don't often understand how blessed we are. We often don't understand where we are headed and why we are headed in the direction that we're going in. So we want to realize that mm, we want to realize we could do some things. I just want to, as we're doing this, make an announcement. For all of you that might be tuning in right now, I'm just going to give you a glimpse through Instagram, but I am on my YouTube channel, which is Circle of Grace 1. So if you go to https colon double forward slash www.youtube.com single forward slash, and then what you do is you type in the at symbol and then capital CIRCLEOF, capital GRACE with the number one at the end, and you'll be able to tune in to me live right here on my YouTube channel. Tonight, I'm talking about a variety of things. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my numerology book. I'm also going to talk and make the announcement again about my online numerology course based on my book, The Key to Life is Numerology, and how it's going to go live on Wednesday at 7 p.m. on um, Wednesday, February the 1st, 2023. So, to kind of catch up to me, you could join me on uh, my YouTube channel. Now I got to find some way to put this phone up so you can see me and not see clutter. Bear with me, folks. Technology is something else. I see we have Brendy on here. Brendy looks familiar. Yes, she does. Well, now, one of the things that's important is that we're always expanding our awareness. We're expanding our awareness all the time. In other words, we're trying to figure out where we need to be, where we need to go, and also flow in that direction of where we need to go. Hi there, Soul Scribe Omaria. I kind of wish we could do Instagram on a laptop, that I could be dealing with two screens here rather than three and four different devices. But one of the things I was talking about here is that we are in a prime time where everything is opening itself up to us again. Everything. So we're remembering more, we're having an enhanced awareness, or even our dream worlds are more enhanced, where we're becoming more lucid in our dreaming. Lucid means become wide awake while your body's in a deep state of sleep, which means the brain waves have slowed down enough where you can go in and realize, okay, this is a dream. And I can now change some of the scenarios and the interactions that I'm having within the dream. So you're able to step and expand your life in a whole nother venue. And this is fabulous. I had mentioned earlier about the gentleman called Jonathan Goldman, who was called the American monk. And what he was doing was he was exploring Qigong and yoga. Okay. But he developed a course called quantum jumping. And what that meant was you could jump from one timeline to the next. But he was talking about finding your other part of yourself in other timelines, meaning in parallel universes. So if you wanted to be an artist, there's some part of you that's a master artist. But you can be a well-known artist, a master well-known artist. Maybe there's one of you in the universe that's a master investor and wealthy. You could find that one and figure out how that one got to be that way. And then you take that information back into this world. So he was doing things like that. And he used to have his course out in about 2000, 2004, 2005, 2006. So we're talking about 15, 16, 17 years ago. But he might be still around because at that time he was in his 80s and he didn't look so much like he was 80 years of age. So his name is Jonathan, Jonathan Goldman, Goldman. And his work is really significant and it's something that can be utilized right now. Oh, hey, Amber. Yes. Well, first of all, 2023. 2 plus 0 is 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So 2023 in numerology is the universal number 7 year, and 7 is spirituality, opening, awakenings, new starts, but on a higher level. Is also an opportunity where we think about going within ourselves. So that 7 universal nature number is added now to February, which has been given the number 2, right, as the second month. And 7 plus 2 is 9. And 9 is beginnings and endings, but 9 is an opportunity to break through anything that's impossible. And I like to think of the word impossible as I am possible, meaning I possess the ability to step into my I am presence. So that's what 9 is significantly to me. In fact, I'll give you a stronger meaning for the number 9 when we look at 9 as being a root number. And in my book, I give an affirmation for that number 9 as well. So I'll show you, like 2/1/2023. I said 2023 is a 7 universal year. So the 7 fits into, this is in my book on page 37 in my The Key to Life is Numerology. The 7 fits into the old soul essence like the 4s and 8s. The 7 is mystical, magical, and philosophical by nature. It is the one thing or the one person who analyzes everything and backs it up with not just facts, meaning research, but first and foremost with the psychic side, the deep rooted feelings and intuitive traits. Okay, that's one of the essences. The 7 is feeling everything, stepping into your emotions. Okay, and I said it's a part of the old soul trilogy, in which I call it 4, 7s, and 8s. Let me wave to my brother man here, Brandon. Brandon is, if you're on Instagram, Brandon is an excellent astro numerologist. He's also a pranic healer. He's a musician. He's an awesome keyboard player. And he's also someone that goes deep into crystals. And and I'll say this, what Brandon has done for all of you that are on Instagram, he has written 2 books. They come under the title of Namaste 2 with the number 2 numbers. And what he does is he shows you the numerical numerology in the biblical side. How it's related to God in the Bible. So, going back to what I was stating here, this 7 is an awesome number. So here's the affirmation where the spirit of 7 spoke to me. And it said, I am the seventh layer of consciousness and true remembrance. Seventh layer of consciousness and true remembrance. I am you and we are one. This is the spirit of seven speaking. We reflect all to become one again. That's what the seven is saying. We make this reflection, we go inside and we realize everything is one. Seven says, I am creative, free spirited, youthful, and simple. I am eccentric, sage like, but magical like you. Well, here's the nine. As I said, February now became, when I added that seven universal year of 2023 to February, which is the second month, that became a nine universal month. Well, nine is a natural warrior and yet a good humanitarian, for it symbolizes all the other numbers from one to eight. If you wrote the numbers one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, in fact, you should write it as zero, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Nine and zero is nine. One and eight is nine. Two and seven is nine. Three and six is nine. Four plus five is nine. Okay, so a nine person stands their ground. The spirit of nine roots itself. That's what it does. It has all of these qualities and it roots itself. It could take on challenges and it will clear the challenges, right? It clears them with facts. Now, here's something you need to know about the nine. Nine remembers how to return to being a student, to gain power, force, and resilience. It moves out of stagnation toward a place where it can experience what is known as living one's life with infinite measures. I used to teach a long time ago that the number nine, there's Plum Cat on here, my favorite friend from Long Island. I used to teach that the number, oh, well, we just spoke his book into existence. That's for Brandon. It's coming though. I used to say that the number nine, I had a phrase way back in the 80s when I worked at a botanica where I did readings. And the phrase about the number nine was reach for the impossible. That way, you will receive everything that is possible. That's what the nine is doing. It's reaching forward. The nine vibration shows you how to become a leader. It shows you to have a drive within yourself, which is there naturally. We all have it, we just don't push it to that level. The nine will take on greater responsibilities, but it learns to share the spotlight. It has its duties and its obligations, and it learns to trust others. Often, if you're experiencing the nine vibration, you'll have some issues along that way. But here's something that is unique. Nine shows true humility. It lives that principle as well. And that's where we can see change happen with ease within the circles of life with the vibration of nine. So the affirmation for the nine is I am the ninth layer of consciousness and remembrance. I have shared with you all my aspects from one to eight, including my highs and lows. I reached for the impossible so that I could attain all that is possible. I am called nine. So you see why I reached out. This is the date, February the 1st. Now, if I take that nine of the ninth month and add it to the number one, you're going to get the vibration of one. So we step back. What is one about? One represents a natural forthrightness and direction with an analytical mind. The number one expresses what makes sense. It represents an original and creative thinker and can represent the best. The energy, for the most part, is fiery by nature and a feeling of being aware and independent of others. Develop trust with oneself and others, and this is considered the first number to flow out of the universal womb called zero. See, zero is the mama and the papa of things. See, so I'm going to reflect on the number one. I'm going to give you the affirmation of the zero. I am the beginning and the end of all that is everywhere. I, as the zero, am nothing, and yet I am you as well. How many times you think about that? You think, oh man, I messed up. This is not a good day. I'm nothing. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Don't worry. Oh, the mother zero goddess is looking at you like, yeah, I feel that way too. I am the womb. This is zero talking. The true matrix and an integral part of your well being. That's what the zero is. The zero is an intricate part of your well being. When you're in the mother's stomach, you are your happiest. You're being nourished, you're being fed, you're communicating with your mother. Your mother is your universe. Your mother is your universe. You are birthed through me, the Alma Mater. That means the mother of all mothers. I am that I am. That was the zero. So when we stepped over to the one, which is an offshoot of the zero, it has its own personality. And it reminds us that we can do what? Express self sufficiency. That's what the number one is all about. Not just being a leader or a director or an organizer, but being self sufficient. In other words, standing on your own. This number in its quality means that it can draw energy of people and places and events that will come forward to what? Support it. It can be a strong-willed personality and an innate ability to be upright, principled in our life, setting high standards of goodness, self-love, all of these things. But it has to have a healthy ego. So here's the affirmation, Amber and everybody on Amber who's here. There's three more people here. I don't see them yet, but I know they're here. Amber's here with me on YouTube, and the rest of you I see here are on uh, Instagram. Well, here it is. Affirmation of the one. I am the first layer of consciousness where I remember I came from nothing, which is zero, and will return. I am here to learn who I am, where I am, and why I am. I am learning that I am standing. I am alone and yet self sufficient and never lonely. I seek myself wherever I go courageously for my reflection as my half, or my reflection of my other half. Hey, Arit Mott, I am one. This is the affirmation for the number one. So, this book, The Key to Life is Numerology. You know, some people say, well, I got to read my other books. It's okay. You can read one page at a time with this book. Why? Because it's a manual. It is a manual. It's like a mini encyclopedia on numerology. It's a manual, a study manual where you can analyze everybody in your house. You can analyze addresses and what that means. You can analyze a phone number. You know, a lot of people say, hey, I got a certain number. No matter where I live, and I'm not even thinking about it, I always wind up with a certain number. I know some people that have the number 11 tracking them all the time. That's why I like to call numbers like beings. They're not just a numerical thing out of two dimensional or one dimensional. They come to us on many layers, and these things are a part of us. Willow Rose is here. Hey, Willow, let me say wave to you. So, excuse me. I've been dusting around my apartment, and the Southwest is loaded with dust. But I'm here. I'm going to teach from my very first book that I wrote called Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace. But before I do that, I want to share the announcement of a new book out on Amazon. This is not my book, but the location where I teach at called Resident Essentials here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Its founder and owner is Michelle Vidal. Now, she's written a book, a wonderful book here, and I'm going to show it to you. This is her book, and these are her initials, DM Vidal, but her book is Manifesting Metaphysics. The subtitle is The Essential Foundations and Principles. What this book does, it takes your mind from being cluttered about all the information out there about metaphysics, and she presents it in a very direct and simple way. This is another great manual that will allow you to understand how these are essential foundations that build us toward being metaphysical people and gives you the necessary principles. This book is on Amazon. I'm not. It's sells. I'm not going to give you a price, but I'll show you. And this is her picture. So when you go on Amazon, this is my colleague and friend. That's her right there. And when you look it up on Amazon, it has a good price as a paperback book. I understand she has it in Kindle format. I've always struggled getting the rest of my books into Kindle. Ooh, that was rough. But she was able to get hers up into Kindle. And so you'll like it. This book is out of this world. I've started reading it myself. I met her originally in 2012, and then I met her again in 2015. I was doing a um, a night of remembrance with Brother Francis, myself, at a coffee shop that used to be here in Albuquerque called Mocha Mug. And as I was there about once every couple of weeks, every 6 weeks, she happened to come in one night, but I didn't recognize her at that time when she came in. Anyway, I gave her and 33 some odd other people quick mini readings after a guided meditation, one of my creative pathwork meditations. And I started reading people, and I happened to tell her at that time, I see you starting some kind of school or center or something here in Albuquerque, and it's going to take off and it's going to be well known eventually. But it's going to take you a couple of years to get it going, but it's going to boom, it's going to do what it's supposed to do because you have all of these gifts and all of these abilities. You get this book, you're going to feel like you know her already. She takes you into creation, incarnation, and reincarnation. She gives you the proper meaning of the word karma and judgment, and that's all under the section called universal awareness. So she really steps into this book and gives you a lot of exciting information. And I can guarantee you, if you study the book carefully, you will learn a great deal. Michelle is an awesome person, or DM Vidal, as she says on this book. She talks about global awakening, where she talks about consciousness, civilizations, universal love, precepts, human aspects. She talks about self activation. We go into angels, spirit teachers, guides, and guardians, prayer, spirit gifts, and chakras. That's her last chapter. She even, well, the next section toward the end is biblical references of spirit gifts. So she actually gives you the chapter section of the Bible, the chapter and the book in which these things are mentioned. So this is exciting. And if you feel you're ready for it, go on Amazon and order yourself a copy of Mastering Metaphysics from my good friend D.M. Vidal, The Essential Foundations and Principles. And I try not to forget, I'll try to type it in at some point, the title. Or, hey, Amber, if you can remember, type it in for me. Now, I'm also going to take some questions and answers at the same time. So before I go in to my book, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace, I'll let you know I'm available to do mini numerology readings this evening. So all you have to do is give me your birth month and birthday number. Okay, give me your birth month and birthday number, and I will tell you what personal year cycle you are in. Now, some of you might be going into it now or already in it, and it takes you up into your birthday before next year. Others may be completing one, or you're still in a cycle from several months ago. Okay, so just give me your birth month and birthday number if you like to get a quick mini numerology reading tonight. Now, also, you might have some dreams that you've had. I'm willing to answer any questions that you have on dreams and lucid dreaming because I believe that there's so much out here that you could receive that could boost you to a whole nother level of consciousness. So we have someone here who has said 7-11. I like that. 7-11. That's like you remember throw dice, throw 7 or 11, you get lucky. Okay, so this person here, Willow Rose, has given me 7-11. Now that's powerful. First of all, you're born on the 11th day. That's a master number in numerology. The number 11 is the number of dreams and visions. The 11 is the master number of dreams and visions. So when you have dreams and visions, right, you can have both or you can have one or the other. Sometimes we can confuse the dream with a vision. A vision is something that will actually come out the way you see it that time that you have the experience while you are asleep. That vision also can come to you while you're doing what? Daydreaming. You're not even asleep, you're just gazing off into space, so to speak. You're born in the seventh month. Now, that seventh month has a strong spiritual vibration. What I just read, the seventh layer of consciousness, right? So you have this interest where you go deep inside yourself. That's something that you strive to do. You're always trying to look inside yourself. And that's important to your well being because you are striving, Willow Rose here, to understand yourself. That's what you were doing for the first 28 years of your life, trying to understand where am I, who am I, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why do I have these feelings, these deep thoughts that seem to resonate with me and stay with me, linger with me? That was out of the seventh month. Okay. But then you stepped in to the 11th day master number vibration that kicked in from age 29 and takes you up to 56. So that 11 means you were getting to know who you were. You were getting into that deeper level. Now, if I add these two numbers together, we get an 18, which is a 9. Now, sometimes when you add the birth month to the birthday number, people call that the soul energy within inside of you. There's a deeper side of who you are and where you're going, how you really think. This number says you are your own warrior, but the 18 says you're like a Piscean personality at the same time. And Pisces a water sign, and you're born on July the 11th, and that's under the sign of Cancer, which is also a water sign. So if we take this 18, which is a 9 now, and we add this to the current year that we're in, which is 2022. All right, when we step into this 2022, this is what we're going to get. We're going to get these four digits 2040. Okay, now that 2022 has also a master number sitting in the year, but it's overshadowed by the number 20. So it adds to a 6. But 2040 is very unique. That's two compound numbers inside of a year. 40 is purification of who you are, trying to remember who you are, to clear your mind, to clear your heart, to clear your physical body. 40 is the number mem, okay, MEM. So that goes into memory. You're striving to get clear in this particular year that began this new year, which is a personal year that started on 7/11/2022, and it takes you all the way up to 7/11 of 2023, but actually the day before your birthday. That's how it goes. So, what is unique here? 20 is transformation and rebirth. Transformation and rebirth. That's what's happening with you right now. You're going through a lot of changes. You're trying to make up your mind. You're trying to figure out where to go. At the same time, what you want to be able to do is go deep in yourself. Use meditation to clear yourself. If you're into prayer, use prayer to clear yourself and build yourself. What you want to do is go into the silence. But the 6 means take care of your obligations, responsibilities. Now, if you live alone, that's great. If you live with other people, you know how it is. You can't please everybody, but you got to try to have an emotional balance. Okay, that's very important. You find ways to create service to humanity when you're dealing with the 6. You also got to watch out with your lungs and your throat because you're going to be dealing with some breathing issues. Okay, that's very important. So that's one of the things you need to look at right now. You're in the 6th personal year. Next year, on your birthday, you will enter a 7 personal year. So it's kind of like in the 6th, it's kind of cleaning house, creating a balance, working on health issues if you need to do that, but make everything serene around yourself. Declare serenity, tranquility, and peace. All right, we have Amber J, 921. 21 is interesting because the number 21, she's on YouTube here. The number 21 deals with wisdom. The number 21 is a Saturn kind of number. Okay, so it deals with wisdom. That wisdom could be accumulated wisdom, which you receive throughout your life, and it could be the wisdom of elders that are around you. It could be the wisdom that you attain from deep research as well. So that means if you're studying all the time, Amber, then what happens is you find yourself delving into something that is new or something that is old or ancient, but you'll be able to squeeze the juice out of it, so to speak. You'll be able to find what you need to find to make things work for yourself. Now, if I add this 9 to this 21, I'm going to get 30. Now, see, in that ninth month, which is part of your destiny number, the 9 means, as I read earlier, right? Going back, reflecting back to something that is new. Hey, Grapes, glad to see you here. I'm going to do some mini readings. So, what you want to do, Grapes, is give me your birth month and birthday only. Birth month and birthday only, and I'll give you a swift analysis. Okay, so that Amber, you're born in the ninth month. So ninth is like birthing a new you. So for the first 28 years of your life, you're birthing a new you. You're going through a cycle, but you can go uphill, but you'll be able to get to the top of the mountain and slide down on the other side. So that 21 in the ninth month, that makes you under the sign of Virgo. You're welcome, Willow Rose. That makes you under the sign of Virgo. So that Virgo vibration goes into health, it goes into youth, it goes into healing and creating balance and wholeness. And here you are nine, born in the ninth month, which means you have the ability to be very strong, have a very strong will when you need to, and work that strong will into humanity. That's very, very important. I'm gonna put down Grape's date of birth here. You're born on that the Christmas day. So you got a birthday coming up. so but we have to put 2022 here to pull the information all the way out clearly. So, Amber, now what's going to be unique is I'm going to add the 9 to the 21, which is gave me a 30, and I'm going to add that to because you just had a birthday, you see. So, this is the new number. You got 2052. So, you are in a 9 personal year. That began on your birthday this year on 9/21 of 2022. You entered, yes, you entered a 9 personal year. That means getting rid of stuff you don't need, preparing your mind for something that's new, working deeper and longer with humanity, but also cleansing and healing yourself at the same time. So when you're in the 9 personal year, I would say you don't want to take on everybody's stuff. You want to work on your stuff and open up doors for yourself and prepare. So you might reminisce about some things. We're all going to do that. But as you're reminiscing about some things, when you move, you try to let go of stuff, right? And as you let go of stuff, it's very, very hard to release some old things, especially if your mind is attached to it. Yeah. So as you clear things, could be things that you own, there's attachment to those things. And you have to figure out, okay, what I'm moving. So what do I need to take with me and what do I need to take or leave behind or give away to somebody? Or what do I need to put into storage if I don't have enough room where I'm going to store some stuff? So what do I do with all this stuff? Well, you have to realize if you had to give it away, you're going to get it back anyway. The universe finds a way to assist you to bring that thing back into your life. So you don't have anything to worry about, you see. When you're in the 9 personal year, you might be around arguments. Don't take it on. Take a stance where you are stronger, but don't take on other people's stuff. Let other people handle that junk that they have with themselves. That you find that sometimes in family settings, relationships, work settings, and wherever you are working, things and places. If you're assisting people, they come with a heavy heart. You don't need the heavy heart energy to be stuck in your space. So you always got to clear that space for yourself. That's the information right now for you. Yes. Yeah. So now you're forgiving and releasing, which is the 9 beginnings and endings. But the person mainly that you have to forgive is yourself. If we spend a lot of time forgiving everybody else, they may not necessarily stay in that zone. They may come out again. So, what you want to do is forgive yourself for the choices of decisions and selections that you made. And just understand you did it all in knowing and understanding that's what you knew to do at that time. So once you accept that fully, then it's easier to release and let go. That's when your healing takes place with yourself. Hey there, Kariva. How you doing? All right, there we go. What we're doing, Kariva, is I'm doing a little bit of mini numerology readings. So all you got to do, if you want one, just give me your birth month and birthday number only. Yes, hello. And then I'm going to be talking about announcing my friend's book again and my course and reading from one of my first books, my very first book, which is Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace. Well, Grapes, I'm glad you're here. You gave me birth month 12, date 25, and so we're going to discover. Now, what is very interesting, Grapes, is this. This is what you need to know. You're born on the 25th day. 25 means that you are always seeking truth, whether it's in career, profession, dealing with things in the neighborhood, dealing with things inside your home, dealing with elders, friends, relatives, life partners. You're always discovering the truth of a situation. That truth enhances you. That 25, we say 25, we're saying two numbers, and then it creates a third number. So that 20 in the 25, just like with Amber, that 20 is there, that's a root compound number. And that means people who are born from the 20th to the 29th, wherever they are in the astrological wheel, they're about transformation. They're about rebirth. They're about recycling, okay? So it's essential that they try to recycle things in their life. They try to understand where they are headed. And that's very important. I got your digits here, Kariva. Kariva. I have your 720. So what is very interesting is this. When you're born on the 25th day of any month, you are acquiring information all the time. That's what you like to do. Acquire information. But you're also about releasing that information. That's why you have the number 5 in the 25. You accumulate and then disseminate. But before you release the information, you sift through it to see where the truths are in what you have gathered. And then you're able to share it with greater clarity in the world. Yes, researching and then spreading awareness. That's what the 25s are good at doing. I got this information and I want to share it with the world. But one of the things you got to do first is see how it applies to you. That's important because it's like going into a thrift shop and seeing some of the oldest things there and go like, okay, I'm gonna take this, and this, and then I'm gonna give it to everybody else. And then you realize you gave away something that you were supposed to keep. And so you needed to go and find these things again. It is the same for anybody born on the 25th. We gather information, then we release it to the world. We gather information and we release it to the world around it as we find it to be for ourselves. Now, you're born in the 12th month, the last month within this particular calendar system that we are using. And 12, like the number 9, is all the numbers before it. The number 12, like the number 9, is all the numbers before it. People born on the first month all the way up to the 11th month, and then your month. You know what that reminds me of? People who are born in the sign of Pisces, 12th sign, same thing for them. The 12th sign people, they are all the other signs coming up into their sign. It depends on how you view it. There's all kind of connections with that Ariat Mayat. People have different systems. Some people see the 25 as 7 being Mercury. To me, it's more of a Neptune, but it does see it's an odd number, so it's carrying all the other odd numbers with it. Okay, 25 in here is a gatherer of information. So it shares that with a 5. The 25 adds or reduces to the single digit 7. So it carries an old soul quality, an old soul vibrations, 4s, 7s, and 8s. happen to do that kind of a thing. They're pulling information from all over the place. Okay. Also, we have this 12 to the 25. So 12 is creativity as well. 12 is destiny, being destined to do something. You're aware that you're headed in a certain direction, but you also have the ability to change your course. Okay, so when we add these numbers together, and you are in a seven personally. So right now you're in a six personal year. You're in a six personal year, just like Willow Rose was, see, but your sixth personal year began on 12/25 of 2021, and it goes all the way up to 12/24 of 2022. So right now, grapes, your main thrust of energy here is to create balance within your own household. That's one of the things. Create balance within your own household. Yeah, so you want to do that. You're accumulating information all the time. Now, when your birthday arrives on 12/25, that'll take you from 12/25/2022 to 12/24 of 2023. You'll step into a seven personal year, which is all about self discovery. But you can do the self discovery part because the 25 says you're always discovering something. You're always looking, you're always doing research, you're delving into a lot of subject matter, whether it's metaphysical, spiritual, business, health, you name it. You're looking into it because you want to know. Your mind is reaching into that all the time. And that is something that's very unique for you. Let me get some more water. Here's another thing for people such as yourself, born on the 25th day of the 12th month. If I add that number together, 22, 25, I get a 37. So you're strong with leadership qualities and you can connect with other people. You might connect with Leo people as well. One of the things about people born on the 25th of December and people under the sign of Leo is you have to be careful of how you view yourself in the spotlight. Number nine people have to do that as well. How they see themselves in the spotlight. Can they share the spotlight with other people? Which also means can they share power with other people? Sometimes there's a struggle there with power. So you have to be aware of your surroundings, grapes, and the people that are in your circles. Are they willing to grow or are they willing to stand still? Some people feel like I'm not going anywhere. Not necessarily. It just means you have to wait for the opening to show up, but still prepare yourself. So that's what I see for you. Now I get to Kariva. You're born on the 20th day, the seventh month. When I look at it, it looks like you might be under the sign of still with at the tail end of the sign of Cancer, but it's very unique. So you can add that and you get a 27. Now 27, which is a nine, at 27, Kariva, is a very powerful thing. One of the things about that 27 is again you're seeing a bigger picture all the time. That's one of the things you're welcome, grapes. That's one of the things you want to do. You want to realize that you're looking at a much bigger picture. You're like a visionary. You're like the number 22. If you said your birthday was 7/22, I would say you're a visionary. But when I add the 7 to the 27, because you're born in the seventh month on the 20th day, that tells me right then and there you are a visionary too, because you're reaching out, you're reaching beyond yourself, but you have the ability to reach deeply inside yourself. Now, since your birthday arrived on 7/20 of this year, I got to add in the 2022. And from 7/20/22 to 7/19 2023, this is the personal year number that I'm going to come up with. So look at this here. You have the four digits that added out of that 27 to 2022 was 2049. So in numerology, we cancel the nine out because we can see it's going to add to a six. Okay. So it's like 69, 6 plus 15, and that's a six. That 15 is sort of like a Capricorn energy number in there. So that means you're going to dig deep, you see. You're like grapes. You're going to go deep enough to get the information you need. Sometimes what you want to do is don't fall into a shell. Right. You got to keep looking at the bigger picture. Hey, check this out. Your handle on Kariva at the end, underscore 123 adds to six. So you're always about being in service, right? Putting your information out. You're a seeker. You're somebody who wants to help other people. You want to help other people heal. So that's one of the very important things. You're trying to help other people heal themselves. But with that sixth vibration that goes this year from 7/20, 2022, all the way to 7/19, 2023, save some energy for yourself. You can be out and about, serving and helping. You understand your obligations and other people's obligations. You got to create boundaries. When you're in the sixth personal year, you got to have boundaries. If you don't, people will be in your space all day long, all night long, sapping up your energy, and there's nothing left for you. So you got to be willing to put some of that energy into yourself so you can take care of yourself so you're not burnt out. That's very, very important. Also, with that number 20, that's transformation, that's rebirth, that's regeneration. So that means sometimes you come up with ideas, maybe from 5 or 6 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago. You didn't know what to do with them, and now you run across them again, and you say, hey, I could use this information right now. This book I had, I never got a chance to finish. Oh, this magazine, I don't know why I kept it. And you start thumbing through the magazine, and then you see you got some things underlined and things highlighted. And so I better either keep this magazine or cut the article out. In most cases, you'll cut the article out and throw away the rest of the magazine. So it's about bringing your emotional energy together and creating a sense of wellness with your emotional nature. That's very, very important for you. Now, you're born in the seventh month. So from the time you were born all the way up to age 28 is spiritual development, metaphysical development, getting in touch with your deep, rich inner feelings, getting in touch with the subconscious mind, trying to clarify your life for yourself, make things better, preparing your path. You see, on the 7th, it's preparing your path. When you hit 20 on the 20th birthday number, that moves from age 29 to 56. So you got a whole bunch of years, 27 years worth, to create a better life for yourself. Find out the path that you're on or discover other paths, stick to it, and move forward. That's very important for you, and that's what I see for you. Now, with that 20 though, be very particular, right? Just don't put anybody in your circle. Don't let just about anybody waste your life either. Waste your time and your energy. What you want to be able to do is secure your life in a way that people are not overloading you. Yeah, because you're doing a lot at work. So, and sometimes we do it. Doesn't even matter if it's regular work or your own business. We often find ourselves being overloaded, and we have to learn how to set boundaries. Don't let people take up your time. I mean, you can listen to people, you can listen to whatever they're going through, but that doesn't mean you have to take on their issues. You don't want to do that. That's something you don't need to do. So, what I want to do right now, I want to jump in. I want to let you know I have other books here, folks. I have other books online. Um, I have the book that I'm going to read from tonight. I have to put a rubber band with it because I wore out my own book. This is my first book, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace. You'll find it on Amazon. Okay. All my books are on Amazon. The second book that I wrote after that was called The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am. The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am was my first channeled book. It's when I began to remember all these things that I'm teaching right now is what I learned in another life stream with beloved Akhenaten. And at that time, with beloved Akhenaten, I began to remember this entire book. Nothing was written on paper, everybody. Nothing. It was all being awakened one night by my ancestors, Mother Grace and Grandma Charlotte, saying, "Guess who's here again?" And he has something for you. And I had to sit. It took me. I would work on the book from 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to sunrise, and then I would go to sleep. I would sit in meditation for at least an hour or two, then come to the computer and begin to type this out word for word as I heard it. This is a very unique book with 13 chapters. And as I said, it's called The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am. Now, other people, historians spell his name Akhenaten. When I had the realization of who he was, he first came to me in 2006. He said, sometimes people will misspell names to throw you off. He says, say it this way. Say Akh, like Ankh. Say Akh, Akh, Ahkenaten. A 10 means the sun. Akh means the breath and light of the sun. But he wasn't talking about the central sun. He said there are many infinite central suns. The sun he's talking about is the blue star in the heavens. He's talking about Sirius B, where he and Nefertiti reside and dwell. They travel throughout the universe and connect through many great central suns, but that's their home. That's their great central sun. And so he gave me wisdom here. He even gave me something called the Path of the Cobra that he and Nefertiti gave to all their candidates and initiated them. Then the second channel book. Now, Akhenaten's book, when I started his book, it was in 2018, and I started in June of 2018. I ended it in September, then I went up on Amazon in October, late September into October. But it took 3 months. 3 months coming out every day, 7 days a week, from about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, typing away. At one point, I fell asleep. I could hear myself snoring. Fell asleep. Spirit of my mother came out of my bedroom and says, "Come here." Said he wants to talk to you. And he said, "Oh, you fell asleep. Okay, go back to the computer. Sit up straight. Drink a glass of water. Throw some water on your face. Take some deep breaths. I'm going to give it to you again." And he channeled it, but it was like a movie. That powerful, it was like a movie. I relived the whole experience of the Path of the Cobra, how he and beloved Nefertiti initiated everybody. Well, after I was done with his book, and I was so happy that I was done. I don't think I'm going to channel another book. It's a lot of work. And I was in communion with him. Well, Nefertiti busted in and said, "Look here, this is not the men's club." That's what she said. "This is not the men's club. I was there too. And I have something for you." And it's all channeled. Her book only took 2 weeks. It's called The Gift, The Wisdom of Nefertiti as I Am. And it is definitely the companion, and it's a further takeoff from his teachings. And in this book, it is super deep. I mean, Akhenaten's book is deep. Her book is extremely deep. In fact, I'm going to read you a little part out of it, out of Akhenaten's book. Back in the day, Akhenaten called me a Menitin. And I had to ask him, what is that about? Why you call me a Menitin? He says, because when you pray for other people, your prayers are effectual. Okay, this is the usual statue that people have. I have this on my altar, but he's in a full body. This is the statue. But this is the drawing. He actually posed for me. Kind of looked like a Fu Manchu beard. This is Akhenaten, how he came to me. Show it everybody here. That's how Akhenaten came to me. He came to me on July 4th, 2017, and allowed me to do this pen and ink drawing of him. Well, I want to read something from him. One of the most important chapters in this book is called Reflections of the Ego Through Doubt and Illusion. And he talks about how our ego is fractured. But this is what he says on page 20 of The Wisdom of Akhenaten as I Am. You are not your ego. Woohoo! You are not your ego. The ego is a thought that you created. Hear me now. This is channel, all channel. He says, you are not your ego. The ego is a thought that you created. It is a miscreation that you keep placing your attention on, and by doing so, it seems to have a life of its own. You ever see that? We run into people that brother, sister's tripping, man. They in their ego. It's just them. Nobody else counts. Me, I. It's miscreated. He says, a miscreation is in essence a badly formed thought in which one can repeatedly reshape or continue to use, which gives it a sense of being alive. The ego, we've given it a sense of being alive. Magical groups do the same by repetitive thinking and then putting their feelings into a thought to create something outside of themselves or from within themselves. Since you are the creator of your own reality, this is Akhenaten talking. He said, since you are the creator of your own reality, people on YouTube, you see me look over here, I'm talking to the Instagram folks. He said, this miscreation can be changed and dissolved back into your higher self. And in essence, he call it like your soul energy, because everything we do, we get an imprint on the soul all the time. Okay. He says, remember when I shared with you the process of meditation and how in the earliest stages you were hearing disruptive thoughts? Beloveds, that was your ego. You had to learn not to give it any attention, but we often have done so by continuously worrying about other issues we are upset about and not able to control. He says, do not use all of your mental and emotional energy striving to figure out it out, the ego. As the more you do that, the more life you give it. So he's saying you can't destroy the ego, but you're just gonna, like a vacuum cleaner, your higher self is gonna draw it back up inside of you. Now, he says, use your meditation skills to overcome it. Use your meditation skills to overcome it. Yes, meditation is the way to dissolve it. So you're not going to give the ego any more power. You're going to dissolve it. That's the importance. Dissolve the ego. Now, Akhenaten was a beloved soul. He is somebody that's, I consider him a heavy. That's why people talk about him so much. That's why people say, well, I'm Akhenaten. Well, let me tell you something. And this is what Akhenaten and Nefertiti both have told me in my deeper remembrances. That throughout many lifetimes, people will say, I am Akhenaten, I am Nefertiti. He said he wants you to know something. Keep in mind, if you go back into the linear historical thing where people didn't like Akhenaten and Nefertiti, why? Because they brought culture and beauty up into those temples. Akhenaten and Nefertiti was saying the great Aten gave you everything, shined light on you, gave you light, wisdom, nourishment. What he was saying was there's only one deity that you pray to, and that is through your higher self into the God source energy that is infinite. But when the others before him and after him, especially the ones during the time the priesthood called the Amun, Amun, they didn't like that. Why? Because he was telling people to do what? Think for yourself, govern yourself. You don't need the priesthood to go through them to get to upstairs. We all have connections with these various deities, not them alone. That's what he was saying. And what happened? They got all upset. What? Their ego was cooking. They didn't like that. Why you gonna come here, little man? He's a teenager, you know. So why you gonna come here and tell us what to do with the people? The Amuns were interested in controlling the minds of the people. Akhenaten and Nefertiti said, no, that's not gonna happen. And here's something else. His father was Amenhotep III. He was called by his father Amenhotep IV. How you get this name Akhenaten? That's his oversoul, the higher self energy. That was his I am presence. And this is what you have to know. His father, Amenhotep IV, and his mother, Queen Tai, they were teaching him behind closed doors. That's what they were doing. They were watching. They were watching Amenhotep IV, and they were noticing something interesting about him. That he wasn't your usual little one running around here. So they chose through their higher self to drop the information that the Amun priesthood gave them to him, teaching him in a secret way, feeding him enough information until the light went on in him. Nefertiti is what, 3 times beautiful, meaning she's just as wise as he is. And here's another thing you need to know. Sometimes, you'd ask a lot of people, what is that cobra doing up there with the hood wide like this? What is that cobra doing there? That cobra represented the internal cobra. That's why in his book, chapter 6, he gives you the path of the cobra. That's when the light of the sun spiraling through your spine and the light of the moon, and they are braiding each other. and then they go into the temples and do what? Ignite, ignite the pineal gland that's sitting in there, and that lights up and clicks on the pituitary, and this opens up the 1,000 petals. In the Hindu philosophy, they call it the 10,000 petals. In Taoism, they call it the 10,000 things. There's an awakening that took place. So, what Akhenaten wanted me to tell everybody is, if somebody says they are me, or if someone says they are Nefertiti, he says, don't listen. He says, basically, shield up. Because when a person says, I'm Akhenaten, I'm Nefertiti, well, they bring on their moon, who are in the ethers, waiting to try to annihilate this truth. And this is not the only truth in my book or the only truth in the gift. Nefertiti said, this would be a gift to you, Brother Francis, if I can get you into that channeled mode and write these teachings. What she's talking about in here is how to open yourself up to the I am presence. We all can do it, but we all do it at different times. But guess what? It's like a butterfly effect. The more people that are doing this, it ripples out throughout the universe. The more people that are doing this, it ripples throughout the universe. It calls up everything that's divine in every other being on the planet. And not only here, but in other universes and galaxies. We all shall awaken at our own time, even though there's a great awakening. But we all shall awaken at our own time. Here's what Nefertiti has to say. Because Akhenaten says you're the silence and you're the open door in his book. You got to be silent to become an open door. This is what she says in chapter 8. Chapter 8 is called A Gift of the Blue Flame. In Akhenaten's book, the last chapter was the gift, which was the blue flame. She says, beloveds, we have arrived at another level that brings us to the chamber within, the blue flame. You have been gently prepared to enter into the blue flame, which is the divine presence of the great central sun, as in capital letters, I am. All of you have been graced to be in our ancient temple, will now realize that you are in essence a temple chamber, and your heart petal of light, which is your heart chakra, is the Aten within you. This is what the rabbis talk about in another way. When they talk about the tree of life, that's who you are, the living tree of life, and your heart is the sun. Six Zephyroth, beauty or splendor. Zephyroth means beauty, splendor, heart chakra, radiant. I have a book on that I'm working on. It's called Radiant Heart. It'll be out in maybe 2 years. It's going to delve deeper into the roles of meditation. Here they say, you are the silence within the open door. This is her. And the chamber within where infinite keys are found. But are you ready to receive your crown? What she's saying is, are you ready for this to open up? She says, as I say this, you may feel this is a riddle to be solved. It is not, because it is not a test of any kind. All the pathways dwell deep within you, and it is only when you feel, see, she said, only when you feel that you are ready to proceed forward. There are so many ways to achieve your ascension. Let me say that again. This is Nefertiti, beloved Nefertiti. There are so many ways to achieve your ascension so that you can do what? Transcend as well. So you just can't ascend, you have to transcend. You got to change, not just go up, but change everything. When you use the blue flame, you can stop the mind from excessively processing information or remaining too focused on the ego. When we're processing information too much, what does that mean? We're worrying and we're overanalyzing. We're second guessing ourselves. She says, as you work with the blue flame, you will eventually, check this out, eventually develop many gifts, such as, she says, you work with the blue flame, and this is what they did. So anybody that's on here tonight, that's hearing this live, I can rest assured and attest that you were there in the ancient temple. You were there in the ancient city with me called Aketeton, where they were teaching us. Whatever you are teaching now for yourselves is the same thing that you learned back then. She says, when you have this blue flame working, here are some of the gifts: healing, astromancy, prophecy in all forms, meditation, soul travel, magnetic healing, crystalmancy. Crystalmancy is the study of crystals. Astromancy is not only astrology, but astronomy and how they work together, and more. She says meditation is the root of all. And so do that daily to prepare yourself so that you can delve deeper into these gifts. And then this is what she says: the sacred flame, the blue flame, sacred flame has a master cell embedded into that, which pulls you upward into the higher realms of divinity, meaning higher consciousness, and assists you in becoming more consciously aware of your own divinity. This is something else she says. This sacred flame carries the remembrance found in Akasha that is also inside of you. You just about everything you have learned comes from inside of you. The remembrance is connected to the base of your skull. So when you're meditating, you go in there. That's why you hear some clicking sounds going on and things like that, because you're in the base of your skull where the Akasha for you is here. When you go in there, what's going to happen? She says, yes, every experience begins with you because the soul, as your higher self, is the master of the journey. In fact, all your journeys. So everything that happens in your life gets embedded on your soul, gets embedded in the big Akashic records, and there's a remembrance cell in the base of your skull. The master cell is a direct part of your God conscious self called I am. Then she goes into ascension chamber, the gift, fully channeled. Now, the other two I'm not going to read from. My throat is tightening up here. This is let me see when this book came out. Everything came out at a designated time. Well, this one was copyrighted in 2019, just like right after the gift came this: decree and it shall be. Speak as I am. Speak as a divine presence in yourself. This takes five steps to do it, but each one of the five is just as good as the other. I have a course based on this. I have a course based on Akhenaten's wisdom. I have a course based on the gift also. You should go to my website, www.circleofgrace1.us, and discover them there. And I'll talk about each one within in that frame. But here, decreeing it shall be, speak as I am. You learn what affirmations are. You learn how to write your own prayer. The signature course that I have related to this book is called Five. The number five is connected, right? It's the five creative pathwork system. So there's a way for you to get this information. But when you go to my website, you'll see the exact title of the course. All right. It's the 5 steps, something of that nature. I'm talking so much, I'm being uploaded right now. I'm sweating over here, not because of the ring lights, but it's the 5 point, it's called. Yes, it's called the 5 point Creative Pathwork System. That's the name of the course that's connected, where I show you the importance of an affirmation, then how to write it. I show you the importance of prayer, how you can write your own prayer. I show you how you write an affirmative prayer. That's 3 steps. I show you the importance of meditation, that you could delve into them deeper. Then you sew it all up and you get a decree. This book teaches you how to get your own rhythm in place. When you get your rhythm in place, you'd be amazed how information comes out of you. There you go. Woo, look at that, Kariva. Look at that. See, you were there. It's coming through on you in a different way. That's all. Yes, a blue flame. Hey there, life coach Aid. How you doing? So, many things happen and many things we experience. Decreeing it shall be, speak as I am, shows you how to do it. It's a whole course. When you go to my website, when the page opens up, it happens, so happens that it opens up to that course. There's Will Entertainment. How you doing? You can go to http colon w the two l's forward slashes www dot circle of grace one dot excuse me dot us. Usually, if you put it in your browser, you should put a forward slash behind it, a single forward slash. The reason for that is sometimes that US at the end may open up into something else and you don't get to my website. So when you type that in, you'll be able to see the 5 point creative pathwork system. That's what it's called. 5 point creative pathwork system is connected to decree and it shall be. So now, so I don't forget again, because I'm rambling, I'm going tight here, and I'm approaching 2 hours. Make sure you go to Amazon.com. Look for this book, Mastering Metaphysics: The Essential Foundations and Principles by D.M. Vidal. Now, D.M. Vidal is a good friend of mine. She's allowed me to teach my creative pathwork meditations at her center. She's allowed me to come there and share an afternoon with Brother Francis, or if you want to know, an evening with Brother Francis, where I take you through a brief guided meditation, and then I go around the room and I give everybody a mini reading. And it's not just me giving you the reading. Akhenaten comes in there, Nefertiti comes in there, my late mother, who I refer to as Mother Grace, who the Circle of Grace One is named after, but she was my first grace, my first metaphysical and spiritual teacher in my life as a young man. But you come and go to Amazon, you can get this book, Metaphysics, the Mastering Metaphysics book. Get this book, go on Amazon, read about it on there. It's a deep book. It gives you a lot of great information. Mastering Metaphysics, the Essential Foundations and Principles. And I'll give you the side. So when you get this book by D.M. Vidal, it helps release the overload, as we call it, of information that we have. Now, I want to step into my first book. Book was written in 2003, 2004, when I didn't know anything about approaching book publishers. I took the individual manuscript, sent it down to DC Library of Congress. But what I did at the same time was I was selling the manuscripts. Nobody wanted the book back then, 2003, 2004. No one wanted the book. And maybe I should put it this way. It's not that they didn't want to publish the book. There was a long line of people ahead of me. So they weren't able to like take me on. I went to Llewellyn Publications. I went to Samuel Wise's pub. They all just had so many books to be published ahead of me. So couldn't do it. Then I got here to, and this is when I lived on Long Island, by the way. I grew up on Long Island, went to college upstate New York and so forth. Lived in New Jersey a little bit, then came back to Long Island. And then in 2005 came to New Jersey. Stayed in New Jersey 6 years. After that, came out here to Albuquerque because my late mother, who was alive, told me in 1979 that Long Island wasn't really my home. She was just the conduit, her and dad were the conduit for me to show up on Long Island. My real home was out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And that was the furthest thing from my mind. Even though when I got out of college as an art major, I wanted to go to Arizona to study the artwork over there. But my mom and dad started getting sick. My mother with the diabetes, my father was fighting alcoholic addictions. And so I said, well, maybe I need to stay. Maybe I shouldn't go right now. My brother, he was traveling, playing the drums with Broadway shows around the country. So he couldn't be home that much. So I was dealing with a lot. But eventually, things kind of took off. She transitioned in 1981. So I called this book also in honor to her as well, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace. It talks about all the things that I went through, all the things that she taught me, and the encounters that I went to. And we go through a lot of encounters. We have a lot of things on our plate all the time. This chapter, when I wrote it, actually had, at the time, I had 22 chapters when I first wrote the book. When I came here to Albuquerque, New Mexico, I went into other things that I had to talk about. And so I had added on 12 chapters to this book. And those chapters that I had added to this book were universal prayers and affirmations and decrees. And so I want to take something from this book and pass it along to you. Now, I was also influenced by the teachings of Reverend Ike, and so was my mother. My mother was a Rosicrucian, and she studied the works of Astara, even though she was a biblical student in her own way. She could read Proverbs and Psalms and other passages out of the Bible, turn around, sit you down, and give you a reading. That's how deep she was. But we never had a chance to step up to 175th Street and Broadway to actually see Reverend Ike, but we would listen to him on the radio. Some of the things that Reverend Ike would say, and I put him in my book, he would say, see you at the top, meaning as you accelerated in your consciousness and your study for higher consciousness, he would know that you would meet him in the spirit world, astral belt. He said, your success is an inside job. You got to go inside and clear the path. He said, get your butts, BUTS, meaning excuses, out of the way. He would say that, get your butts out the way. He said, the lack of money is the root of all evil. He said, not the accumulation of money. He didn't say money was the root of all evil. When you ain't got no money, then evil takes place. What happens when people get frustrated, to get down and out? Some people, and it's sad, we see it all over the world. There are homeless people all over the world. They weren't born to be homeless. They didn't say, I'm going to be homeless. That's what I want to be. Nobody says that. They just had some very difficult times. But they're like the angels in disguise. You listen to some of them, they got some wisdom that pours out of them. You must give something in order to receive. That's what he said. That's what a tithe is. Tithe means a tenth of your salary, a tenth of the month. But he said you must give something in order to receive. Other people would say it as you must empty yourself like a cup. Empty yourself in order to receive. If your glass is full to the brim, you can't put any more in it, but you will have an overflow. If your glass is half full, you can rise it back to the top. If it's empty, though, you got room for more. You can't lose with the stuff I use. He was teaching to the people the language in which they could comprehend. He said, whatever you add to I am, which is the name of God or the divine, you become. A perfect example he would say in his teachings was when you're not feeling well, you might say, I'm sick. I'm not feeling well. What he's saying is, watch what you say, but also how you feel about what you say. Because here's the next phrase he would say, the feeling gets the blessing. So if you don't feel well and you keep saying over and over in your mind, I don't feel well, and you start feeling that, those thoughts that are up here will drop down into your body. And then you don't feel well. The thoughts will drop down into your body. The weight of your thoughts, the weight of worry and anxiety becomes a stressful thing in the body. Then you will feel what that is like. And your feeling are emotional. That will draw it into your body, more of what you're experiencing. Your subconscious mind is like the universe. It don't know the difference between what you show it and what you don't want to show it. But it'll do this. It'll show you the same thing you keep repeating. You keep sending into the universe. It's, oh, you want that, so I'm gonna send that to you. I'm gonna pull everything together that's just like those negative thoughts. But the universe is not saying it's negative. It's just a thought. You're gonna have all the feelings that you will hook up to the thought, and then you will reel it in and you will experience it. So he often said, whatever you place after the I am in capital letters, you shall become. In other words, you predicted, you made it a vision for it to happen, you created it. His last thing was, you can be, do, and have, but first you must decide. You must make a decision into being, doing, and having. He always used to say this. This just kind of sums it up. The presence of God is the infinite good already within every man, meaning everyone. That was his favorite phrase. The presence of God or the is the infinite good already within everyone. That's potent and powerful. Well, I want to pick something out here. You can receive this like a meditation. When I used to be in New Jersey, I once a month on a Friday I had some stores that I would teach at. And every other Thursday I would teach at another place. But once I left those places, I was living out in Patterson. I was still working at a place in Nutley. Every Thursday I would do a class and a meditation. Every other every other one. So the most significant one, plus Saturdays doing readings. The most significant thing was I picked one Friday out of the month, and I would be at this private house in Patterson, New Jersey, through a guy who I was sharing his apartment with. One of his sisters owned a house, and she allowed us to go in there. And because he had the key and had to stay there sometimes, we would start out at 7 in the evening and not get out until midnight, where I was taking people through deep, deep, deep levels of meditation and creative pathwork meditations. So, when I was in preparation for these meditations, I would receive a universal decree. And we were selling candles. So I would type out these decrees and put them with a rubber band with an anointed candle, which is always white. So since the day is the 26th of November, I'm going to read the 26th chapter to you. It is entitled A Universal Decree for Self Empowerment and Self Realization. Carib Jazz 55. Let me put you in here. Now, this was channeled to me on June 4th, 2010, but I used it as to represent chapter 26. And it's quite long, a little bit. So I'm going to try to condense it. What was unique about this? It gave forth a lot of power. And what it actually did was it planted what I call seed thoughts to help bring forth a manifestation from the spiritual realm into a series of overflowing materializations into our life called the material realm. So sometimes when you use a decree, as in this book that I wrote, Decree and It Shall Be, what happens is if you decree something without any doubt in your mind, with very high emotions connected to it, it will materialize. A decree allows you to transfer energy from one realm to the next. Now, people on Instagram, those of you that are on here, you see me kind of looking away because I'm on my laptop. And those of you that are coming through on my laptop on YouTube, I'm also have to talk to the people as well that are here on Instagram. So, this is how it begins. I remember that I have a direct connection with the divine source, that I have never been separated from the divine source called I am. I am an individual and cannot be separated from the divine source of I am. So, in this very moment of my life, all life is absolute energy, and I am empowered by this force of energy called spirit, the same spirit of and from God, which is the divine source of all life. So the energy is building up. I hereby proclaim and decree, now I'm continuing, that I have grown and expanded from an infinite seed thought into an emanation of God's gateway. I see and decree that God brings me forth as a self empowered and self realized spiritual sentient being called the gift. Now, check this out. The word gift came way back then in 2010, right? And later, 9 years later, here comes Nefertiti. So I'm kind of thinking Nefertiti busted out in this chapter because here's the book called The Gift. It's very interesting how all these things seed together. So I decree I am the gift in this present moment in my life, and God as divine source. In the Masonic sense, God is this geometrical, omnipotent design, sacred geometry, see, has so placed me in a sea of divinity, a sea of divine healing, a sea of rebirth, restoration, and renewal, all in a sea of divine grace. Here's the key that you got to understand about divine grace. Divine grace is not out there floating around somewhere. Divine grace is embedded in each and every one of us. It is an intricate part of who we are. And once we relax the mind enough and the heart opens up fully, this seed thought, which is infinite, called divine grace, will begin to radiate. When you have grace operating in your life as divine grace, Things become easy, things become effortless, things come out of nowhere for you and assist you. Many times when people say, I can't make my bills, but something says, shh, don't worry, I got your back. That's you from deep inside that does have your back. It's reeling off of your spine. It's got you. I decree I am the gift in this present moment in my life. And God has placed it right in the sea of divine grace. All that is infinite and eternal. Divine grace is all that is infinite and eternal. It never leaves you. It didn't go anywhere. It didn't melt down. It just shifted your frequency. I decree. Now, all of you can take this as a meditation. This is on page 174 of my book, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace. I decree that my finances are prospering abundantly, flourishing like a great sunflower. You know how big sunflowers are, right? I decree that my health is restored into perfect wholeness and wellness. I decree that I am always happy and responsible for my own happiness and no one else. That means no one else can make us happy. Nobody. You have to make yourself happy. No one makes you happy other than yourself. I decree that I can heal myself as I know myself to be I am that I am as God in me. How do we heal ourselves? We could work on it. If you don't believe that you can still work on it. Why? Because the cells in your body are there for you. Trillions of cells going in and out of our body all the time, passing the baton, which is what? Prana and chi, energy, orgone energy. We ain't nothing but light and energy. There are people who could bring their light of themselves, sitting in the sun so long, bring the light up in themselves, take a picture of themselves, and all they see is white light. They're radiating that light in their auric field, where they just disappear. Okay? Now, goes on to say, that since you can do that, it says, I decree that through this remembrance, I know that I have and will attract blessings as God gifts me, means the universe gifts you and everyone else with a multitude and an infinite flow of blessings in our lives. That means we have to stay connected. We don't disconnect ourselves. We have to stay connected. So even if you have a job, even if you have a career, your own profession, even if you're self employed, you still got to stay linked up to the divine source. I decree that there is always more than enough as this universal source called divine providence, just another facet of divinity, preordains and blesses us, every one of us, with absolute abundance and is never ending because God, as the universe, is my infinite supply. When you hear that phrase, go to a unity church. They say, God, as the universe, is my infinite supply. Go to a center of spiritual living. Go over there to Culver City, California, or better yet, Beverly Hills, California, where Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith is with the Agape Spiritual Center. In fact, today is the 26th anniversary of Dr. Michael Beckwith's Agape Spiritual Center out there in California, formulated, brought into being on November 26, 1996. He says the same thing as well. God, as the universe, is my infinite supply. I now decree that I am being always empowered by the universal presence of God in me. Huh? Sacred geometric opulent design. That's what the God is, right? The work I seek comes from the universal God mind. The healing I desire comes from the universal God mind. Huh? The healing I desire comes from the universal God mind of Rapha. Rapha means heal. Every feeling and thought is from God as I am are one. I decree that each and every day is always overflowing with God's grace. So it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Before I close out, let me take you all into a meditation. Remember, If you want to take my course, you better email me. The course is based on my book, The Key to Life is Numerology. It's going to be a 12 plus week course. This is how long it's going to be. It's going to be 18 classes. It's going to run from Wednesday evening online through my Zoom channel. So it's going to run from Wednesday, February the 1st, 2023, all the way to May 31st, 2023, all Wednesday nights. You'll have 12 paid classes and 6 free classes embedded. The 6 free classes are reviews, all based on my book. The course is The Key to Life is Numerology. There's two enrollment sections. If you catch the early bird one, catch it from January the 2nd through January the 18th. The early bird fee will be in effect. It'll be a discount of $103. If you miss that window, the next window that opens takes you back to the standard fee. So the standard fee kicks in on January the 19th and ends by February the 19th, which means I give you 4 weeks to pay that bigger fee. But the class is going to start. So, how do you get into class if you missed the early bird fee? Contact me and I'll tell you how. All you got to do basically is give me 1/4 of that fee. Then that gets you into the class, and then you can pay installments. Easy to work with. The key to life is numerology. Just like a college course, 4 months. 4 months of study and interacting with me. Going to teach you how to work with the modern system of numerology, and a little later on in the course with the Chaldean system of numerology. Going to show you how to break down names, okay, how to break down birth dates, how to deal with destiny. Well, in other words, part one of this course is on working with names. Part two of this course is working with the birth date information. And then you're going to learn how to put them together. You're going to learn how to analyze names, addresses, you name it. People in your household, your cat and your dog too. They're born under signs. Your cat and dog is born, has an astrological sign that's working with it. Okay? So you're going to learn all of that. But what I want to do is, before I close out, let me put you into a meditation. Need a little glass of water. I want you to just go to a place within yourself that brings forth happiness. I want you to begin to inhale through the nose and just let the breath out of your mouth. Don't rush. Just inhale and release it. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Do that a few more times. And then shift your awareness of your breathing through your nose only. Following the breath in, following it out. You can place your tongue to the roof of your mouth behind your 2 front teeth. That makes a full connection between the flow of the chi coming up your back and coming down the center, and where it will sit in the second chakra. In Chinese martial arts, they call it Dantian, lower lower cauldron. You can rest there. You can breathe from there. But what I want you to do is use your heart center. Breathe through your heart. There's an energy field running throughout the body called the fascia. It's like a sac. And in there, that's where your chi flows. And it's all over your body. Relax. Now, I'm not a hypnotist, so I'm not trying to hypnotize you at all. I'm just using my voice and I'm going to shift it right now. Relax. I'm going to get a little closer to the mic. All I want you to do is relax. As you allow yourself to go into the space through your heart center, don't fall asleep. Stay alert, but allow yourself to receive the energy. Each and every one of us has an energy. This energy field is infinite. All of my ancestors, my late mother Grace is here. Her mother, my grandma Charlotte, is here. Beloved Akhenaten and Nefertiti are around energetically. The presence of angels, which in reality is an extension of ourselves. I want you to relax. I want you to become fully in the presence of your breath. Your I am presence, the nature of what we call the God energy, exists in the gap of your inhalation and exhalation. There's a gap. That's where the I am is flowing into you and out of you. As you do this, I'm feeling a flow of affirmations and decrees, and I'm going to release them, not only for myself, but for anybody that's on Instagram and live and anybody on YouTube. Those of you that are on YouTube, you will be able to replay this. I don't know how long it lasts in the system. Will you put someone else in here? Welcome, Jasmine Abbas. So I'm getting ready to close out, but we're going to do a meditation here. Inhale and exhale. Come through your heart chakra. And I'm going to release some affirmations and decrees rhythmically. You can take the words and write on them in the meditation if you want, or you don't have to use them. I'm just following what's coming from my ancestors. If you want to follow me through my website, use http:// www.circleofgrace1.us with a single / at the end, or email me at iam.circleofgrace1 at gmail.com. Here we go now. Getting this flow, and I want to release, and then I'm going to close this out. Through divine power and by divine grace, thank each and every one of you for being here this evening, to joining me on Instagram and joining me on YouTube. May you be blessed to your highest and most infinite self. May you experience everything that you need to experience. May you become one and whole through yourself. May you continue to connect with your higher self, with the God aspect in you. May you be infinitely free, infinitely liberated. May all that you need to know come to you now. I see and decree that whatever you choose to do, you shall be successful. I see and decree that everything that you are seeking to accomplish, you shall accomplish. I see and decree that everything you desire for your loved ones and for yourself shall come to fruition. I see and decree that you begin to trust the faith that's inside of yourself. I see and decree that you understand that within the word faith is the word fiat, which is a divine spark that exists inside of you, and that divine spark is igniting every one of your trillion cells, lighting you up gently from the inside. I affirm that you're whole and complete. I affirm that you are a blessing to yourself and your loved ones and your neighborhood and your community and your state and your country. I affirm that you are this creative being. I affirm that you are clear in design. I affirm that you know exactly what you're thinking. I affirm that you are released from old negative patterns, old behavioral patterns. I see and decree that whatever you want, you shall receive. I see and decree that these words that I have for you are words that you have for yourself. I see and decree that you love yourself intensely, you embrace yourself, you remember, and you are totally aware of your own divinity. I see and decree. I want you to go deeper into yourself. These words may fit you or may not fit you, but they're just designed to turn on the switch inside of you so that you can return to the column of light where you will find your I am presence. It blinks off and on, but it will get stronger. And then, next thing you know, the light will stay on. As you take that energy with you, remember that all is well. Again, if you want to find out more about me, go to my website, www.circleofgrace1.us. Email me at iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com so you can find out how to sign up in January ahead of time for my online course that will go 4 months online live. I'm Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. I'm the founder of the Circle of Grace One, founded in honor of the first grace in my life, who was my late mother, and I refer to her as Mother Grace. This is a metaphysical and spiritual ministry with the core of meditation on divine grace, unconditional love, compassion, self realization that you are who you say that you are, and that you are a blessing to everyone who enters your life and a blessing for yourself. My grace is your grace. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. Look forward to seeing you soon, seeing you next time, and good evening to you. I would like to also, as I'm signing off, I would like to thank each and every one of you. So let me go to Instagram first. Thank you, Kariva underscore 123. Thank you, Karib Jazz 55. Jasmine dot Abbas. Thank you. Life Coach Aid. Thank you. Who else was here? Willow Rose Self Care Energy 8. Thank you. BJ Smith 5. Thank you. The Plum Cat. I haven't seen you in ages. Longtime friend. Soul Scribe Omaria. Thank you. Brendy 1110. Thank you. This has been a glorious night as usual. And I just want all of you to know that this has been a blessing. I really enjoyed being here with all of you. So now, okay. So I think the X is it. All right, all of you that we here. Let me address everybody that's here. Thank you, Amber. Amber was the first one on. Amber Jajola, thank you. Grapes, thank you. Will Talk Entertainment, thank you. Uh, Arit Mayat, thank you. You were here also. Who else was here? I think that's it. I just love you all unconditionally. Thank you for being supportive. And what a night. Bye, everybody. I'll be on, I forgot to say it there too, but I'll be on Sunday at the same time. That's 7:30 Mountain Standard Time, which is 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or I might come on a little earlier. If you're on Facebook, I'll announce it. Or email me and let me put you on the list and let you know. But I usually try to come on in the evening. That way we get everything out the way. All right. Until next time, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. Take good care of yourself. Now I got to close out. Here we go.